Good afternoon. This is the Board of County Commissioners. Tuesday, November 1st meeting. It is 2:01 p.m. I'm calling this meeting to order. We'll start our meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance to be led by Vice Chair Menser.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I realized I skipped over introductions. I'm Carolina Mejia. I'm the chair of the board. To my right is Vice Chair Ty Menser. To my left is Commissioner Gary Edwards. County Manager Ramiro Chavez is excused for today. So joining us is Assistant County Manager Robin Campbell and Clerk of the Board James Caldwell. With that, we'll move on to the approval of, and then I apologize, Vice Chair Menser, would you like to do a land acknowledgement today?
Thank you, Madam Chair. We would also like to start today with the land acknowledgement. We would like to acknowledge and thank the Indigenous Salish peoples whose elders and ancestors have lived on and cared for the land and waterways of this county since time immemorial, and who still inhabit the area today, specifically the Squaxin Island, Nisqually, and Chehalis people, our sovereign tribal partners. Truth and acknowledgement are critical to building mutual respect and connection across all barriers of heritage and difference. The purpose of this acknowledgement is to disrupt ongoing erasure of injustices done and to remember history as a stepping stone towards healing.
Thank you. Moving on to the approval of the Tuesday, November 1st, 2022 agenda. Is there a motion?
I move to approve the proposed agenda for November 1st, 2022.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Menser?
Aye.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye. Motion passes. Next is the approval of the board meeting minutes from October 25th, 2022.
I move approval of board meeting minutes from October 25th, 2022.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Menser?
Aye.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye. Next is an opportunity for the public to address the board. There are some guidelines. The Board of Thurston County Commissioners welcomes comments from the public. However, there are some guidelines governing such comments to ensure they are appropriate and do not take advantage of the fact that most meetings are televised. The general speaking guidelines are as follows. Please introduce yourself, including the address you reside in the county. Please address the board, not the audience or staff. Please silence your cell phones for those members in the boardroom. Speakers are limited to a total of 4 minutes to address the board. Meeting attendees cannot donate their speaking time to another person. No comments that are lewd and offensive, inflammatory, hateful, defamatory, or discriminatory in nature. Please be respectful. No outburst of any kind. No comments that are commercial in nature, such as promotion of a for-profit business. All materials provided to the county may be considered public records, subject to public release upon request pursuant to the Public Records Act, Chapter 4256 of the RCW. No remarks about pending land use permits or similar matters that could eventually come before the board on appeal, and no electioneering. Thank you so much for your cooperation. I also want to let the public know that there is a 3:30 public hearing scheduled today, and that's in regards to hear objections to the resolution of intention to establish the Offutt Lake Management District number 24. So if you're here for that, that will start at 3:30 p.m. With that, I will call the members who have signed up, and then we will move on to Zoom. First person, John Pettit.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. November 1st, 1 week away from an important day. But we have some important day right here, too. And so I have two particular topics I want to deal with very briefly. On a date back in July 19th to be precise, you approved an ordinance number 16179. That particular ordinance had to do with Chapter 2.02, which is the meetings for the Board of Commissioners. Did you know when you passed that every single meeting is a regular meeting. And yet, we're supposed to receive minutes to every single meeting, and you never seem to ever approve any meeting minutes other than the ones that you've had, for instance, on Tuesdays. And part of that particular ordinance specifically states on here, the minutes of all regular and special meetings, except executive sessions, shall be promptly recorded, and such records shall be open to public inspection. So when are you going to approve all those meetings you've had since that time? And when are you going to put them actually on the internet? I will let you know that since that date, we've had a total of 10 minutes that have been put on. I know you've had more than 10 meetings, haven't you? You probably had 100 meetings. Not really sure what I'm going to do with it. I'm thinking I'll just transfer this information over to a gentleman named Arthur West and let him do a follow-up on this, because he seems to have pretty good means of going after people for not complying with the law. The second topic. I think there could be a little confusion. I wrote a little letter regarding the atrium, the secret building that supposedly the county wants to move to, but you don't talk to the public about it. Well, the real fact of the matter is I wrote a letter, and this doesn't have to do with actually even the element of where the boundaries are for the county in terms of the seat of government. This has to do with state law. In fact, this law was actually created prior to statehood. At the office of the elected officers, that includes all of you, the assessor, the treasurer, the auditor, the sheriff, you all have to be located at the courthouse. Simple. Now the question is whether you want to follow that law or whether or not you don't want to follow it. You took an oath of office, so either you're good for your word or you're not. If you don't want to follow the law, you shouldn't be a commissioner. The law is simple. There is no element. There is no question here about whether it's in the county seat or not. You're allowed to have additional office space, but you're not allowed to be located outside of the county courthouse, and the courthouse is where the courts are. You have no ability to move your offices there, and moving out of this building or any of the departments down below, those officers will subject to immediate action for removal from office. Currently, as I've told you before, you guys have paid out over $5 million without a properly signed contract or procurement policy. You've done nothing. Don't let this just slip by and think nobody's going to notice. It's coming, and people will notice, and yes, actions will be taken if necessary. Thank you.
Next, Terry Ballard.
Good afternoon. My name's Terry Ballard. I live at 346 Ram Court Southeast in Tanglewild. Also own another house there and another house in Olympia. Also, I'm a 35-year veteran, and I retired in 2012 with 35 years of service. I'm also a Democratic Party PCO. I am also I was also born on the Indian Reservation in Yakima, Wapata, Washington, and I thank Mr. Menzer for always thanking my people for taking care of the land. But honestly, we don't take care of our land, okay? Stormwater and these lake districts are really concerning to me. Okay, because you're giving a rate for stormwater to them, but it's not the rate that you pay like everybody else, and it's not my rate that you pay to everybody else. Stormwater is not owned by the incorporated cities or the unincorporated county. It's owned by the Department of Ecology. Department of Ecology gives you the right to run the stormwater. you are not in charge of the stormwater, okay? Versus that's the rate, and if we really want to get into it, really want to get into it in Olympia decided to direct stormwater onto my private property, okay? It has no requirements whatsoever. It has all the contaminated things that you can ever imagine. They identified it as a wetland. They did everything they could to limit the use of land, which you also do, okay? Well, they impose a percentage on unpaid balance. What I want you to do is I want you to charge all those people that you didn't charge with the regular stormwater rate with that charge as well, to make sure that that stormwater fund gets back into where it should be. In 2017, Mr. Pettit noticed that they weren't, the city of Olympia was not paying the right rate for stormwater like everybody else. They wanted the government rate. Well, in 2017, he added it all up, and they only owe $143 million into the stormwater which they don't own. That's really key. And today I noticed I get a lot of mail from the Democratic Party. And today I noticed that Mr. Menzer over here is using an address, which is the resident address for Dorothy E. Parsley. And she's using that address as a place to vote, her resident address as the place to vote. And he's using it as a campaign address. What's going on there?
Mr. Ballard, no electioneering, please.
That's an untruth, false. That's a false statement. You should be charged, ma'am, with a gross misdemeanor. If you don't know if it's true, then it's false. And that's also in there as far as a gross misdemeanor. I think Mr. Pettit covered that with you. Okay? Covered that with you. I'm up here to tell you guys what I want to say. Okay? I could talk about the moon.
Your time is up.
I don't care, okay? And I don't like anybody interrupting.
Sir, your time
while I'm
is up.
talking. Thank you.
Next, I have Barry Halverson.
Madam Chair, Commissioners, my name is Barry Halverson, Yelm, Lake Lawrence, Washington. I hope you were able to read the email I sent you last night regarding your comments during the 26 October PM budget session. There are some things best left out of public testimony, so I do not intend to discuss that today, except to thank you for providing clear intent on how lake development dollars can be used and moving forward to authorize those funds for 2023. Ever since your two current LMDs were formed in 1986, they have been referred to and recognized as steering committees in every research document from them then until now. These are a few of the documents that I brought with me out of my filing cabinet. A 1990 feasibility of aquatic plant control by the Fish and Wildlife and the University of Washington. A 1991 Lake Lawrence Phase 1 restoration analysis by KCM Incorporated, where 21 LMD steering committee members participated in that year-long study. A 1995 Lake Lawrence Restoration Project Final Dredge and Dredge Disposal Design Report by Hartman Associates, where 30 LMD steering committees participated in that year-long study. A 2004 IVAMP, where over 9 months, where 26 LMD steering committees participated in that study, and it goes on. I show them to you now because I will be referring to these studies and other research documents in future testimony. Why a steering committee versus an advisory board? Steering committee members have lived on the lake for decades. They have the most knowledge and experience with lake issues. They are the experts when it comes to knowing what the lakes need to keep it healthy. They have a vested interest in doing so. Not one of your staff have that experience or likely ever will. They don't have the passion for individual lakes the steering committee members do. They are doing a job. They have the expertise and knowledge to help us navigate county policy. That is their real value. None of them have been here more than 6 years, and they come and go, as we just saw with Ms. Cracknell. The steering committees are always here. When our new ARS came on board in 2019, she had no experience with LMDs, but was smart and willing to learn. She found that her predecessor had left no historical documents on your current LMDs. No meeting notes, agendas, survey data, reports, etc. None of the historical studies that have been done on our lakes, which I just showed you here. We, the steering committee members, have all that information, maintain it, pass it from one steering committee member to another, and yes, provide that information and provided that information to our new ARS. We taught our ARS how to conduct a lake survey, how to record it and use that information to make decisions. We introduced our ARS to important contacts that were the experts so better decisions could be made. LMD steering committees have been the folks that researchers go to obtain important information about the lake, its history, problems, and ideas about what will and won't work based on learned experience. I'll talk more about that in future testimony as well. There is no board or committee within the county where you can draw this comparison. LMDs are unique, locally led organizations, critical to ensure the health of our lakes. I want to thank you for your time and your consideration for the budget for Patterson Lake, Offutt Lake, and the Lake Development Program. Thank you very much.
Next, I have Doug Carmen.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I'm Doug Carmen, Chair of the Long Lake Management District Steering Committee. While I have volunteered on this committee for over 23 years, my family has been on the lake since 1931. And yes, in just a few years, we will have lived on the lake for 100 years. And I'm looking for a road to the future for our LMDs, one that the county and the LMDs can work together. Today, I would like to talk about 3 words: history, communication, and direction. I almost don't have to say anything about history because Barry did a pretty good job just a few minutes ago, but I will. The members of the Lake Management District Steering Committee have been involved in management of their lakes for many years, some even longer than I. Those lakes currently forming an LMD also have members who have lived on the lake and observed their lake for a long time. The county, on the other hand, has no one who has been involved in our lake management for more than 6 years. And even that person wasn't directly involved in the day-to-day. So who is more qualified to do the steering, and who is more qualified to do the advising? Most would say the LMD Steering Committee would do the steering. But now let's talk about communication. This is an important function. In the past number of years, communication between current staff and the steering committee has moved to the steering committee desperately trying to reestablish a form of two-way communication. However, these efforts have been unsuccessful as staff keeps dictating rules and procedures without consideration or input from the people who volunteer and pay the bills, put in hundreds of volunteer hours, and use their equipment and spend their own money on gasoline to accomplish the work plan. This is why we have been coming to you for assistance in making rational changes. And except for our discussions with Commissioner Edwards, I really haven't had any discussion or feedback from the other two commissioners. I have had no meetings with the county manager nor the director of public works. So there is no communication going on from that direction. We are told that there is conflict, and staff is telling ARS candidates, those that they're trying to hire to replace Paula, that they will have to deal with this conflict if they are hired. We would definitely not describe that as conflict. And if you were to ask Paula Cracknell about it, she would say, yes, there's some conflict, but it's not between the LMDs and her. It's between her and management. We are just asking that staff does not want, we are just asking questions that staff doesn't want to answer or dig into or look into us for us. This is not a healthy road for the future. The only path forward is for you to hire an arbitrator or someone who can sit down with the parties and go through it. Then facilitate a path for healthy communication and cooperation with a report back to you. I have made this recommendation to you in the past, but have had no response or communication on the proposal. Direction. We believe the staff needs to understand how you want them to work with the county's LMDs. A letter of intent from you would go a long way in providing staff guidance and direction to implement your vision for LMDs. This would also assist LMDs in knowing how to work, how to work with staff. I provided you with a revised suggested draft letter of intent for your consideration back on May 31st, 2022. However, as of this date, I have not received a response. We strongly feel that staff is getting the wrong guidance and does not understand your vision for LMDs. Without this letter of intent, without two-way communication.
Your time is up, Mr. Carmen.
And without respect, these issues will continue. Thank you.
Can I ask Mr. Carmen a question real quick?
Yeah, go ahead, sir.
Mr. Carmen, I wanted to ask, I was told by the county manager that he had reached out to you and you guys had had a conversation about the proposal to potentially move the lake program out of Public Works into CPED, and he actually relayed elements of that conversation to me, so I'm...
5-minute conversation on the phone.
Okay.
Last Friday.
Okay, just wanted to make sure that happened.
Yeah, on that note too, Mr. Carmen, I've never received a notice to meet with you. So I've met with Mr. Casino before from the Long Lake. He was the vice chair last year, and so I met with him, but I've never received a request to meet with you. If you would like to meet, he sent a request, and happy to meet with you. Next is Jane Applin.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Jane Appling. I live at 7452 Fair Oaks Road, Southeast, Olympia. I am here this afternoon on behalf of the Pattison Lake Association, and I'm here really to thank you all for the hard work and the many hours I think that you spent working with our association to try to figure out how to create a Pattison Lake Management District. We know you've worked very hard and patiently as we've walked through that process and have really put in some very creative problem-solving efforts, especially in these last few weeks, to try to get our district moved forward. We want to thank you very much for that, and for the time you've spent with us on that. We also want to thank you, as others have mentioned, for clarifying the parameters of the county funds, how they're to be used in support of lake districts, and for refunding the $2,500 that we had submitted above our bond. So we're grateful for that. Lastly, we've communicated with the county manager, and I believe with all of you in the last day or two regarding the timeline for the formation of our district. We know we are down to the wire, as we have for a while, but we do have about 6 weeks left before the assessor's deadline. In going back and looking at the proposed timelines, we believe that there may be an opening there, that the legal requirements, we may still be able to meet that timeline if some of the administrative supporting tasks are prioritized and move forward quickly. So we hope that you're able to look into that and see if there's any chance that we could meet that deadline and just proceed as we have been talking for 2 years now to try to get the district formed and collecting assessments next year so we can start on our IVAMP. We would be extremely grateful. And we're here to do whatever we can do to help with that process. So anyway, that's what I have to say today. Again, we appreciate your efforts and your care and concern for the lakes of the county.
Can I respond, ma'am?
Go ahead.
Ms. Appling, that very issue was discussed this morning, and direction was given by the board to legal counsel to see if there's any possible way to accomplish what you've proposed. We were all supportive of that. It's just a matter of whether the lawyers will let us do it. So if they will, we're going to.
Next is Gregory Moe.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Gregory Moe with Windermere Real Estate. I live out in Lure Beach in northeast Thurston County. I got your November real estate facts update for you. Currently, there are 683 active and contingent homes on the market in Thurston County. Those are all single-family homes. 610 of those are single-family, 20 are condominiums, and 28 are manufactured homes on either their own land or in a park. There are 329 pending inspection or pending sales, houses under contract going through the pending phase. In the past 7 days, there have been 66 new listings. 113 houses have gone under contract or are pending. 110 have sold. 110 have had price reductions, which we haven't seen a lot of price reductions in the past over the summer, but they're starting to see more and more of those. 6 price increases, 8 expired listings, and 20 listings have been canceled. Interestingly, there are 38 homes over $1 million in Thurston County. The lowest priced home is $45,000. It's a manufactured home in Tumwater, 1,000 square feet. And the highest is a $6 million home, waterfront, with 8,700 square feet on Johnson Point. Just for your edification. Thank you.
Okay. That is all the people I have signed up on the sign-up sheet. Is there anyone else who I didn't call who would like to provide public testimony?
I'm Brett Trowbridge on Hanson Street, Patterson Lake. I thank the commissioners for meeting with me yesterday, and I thought it was somewhat constructive. I feel that my position now is that I have made a proposal, and I'm hoping for some sort of counter-proposal. Therefore, I don't think I should be coming up here bad-mouthing anybody since we're trying to be cooperative. And so that doesn't leave me a whole lot more to say, except that could you draw a line on here as to where we're at, what's done and what needs to be done, if I could approach?
Sure. I may have to give it to you after the meeting, because this is a document that Mr. Trowbridge asked me for, and I provided to him on the timeline of the Patterson Lake process. I'll get it to you.
Vice Chair, would you also like to give Mr. Trowbridge an update?
Oh, sure. Since we're giving updates, your issue that you met with me and I believe Commissioner Mejia about was also discussed this morning, and similarly, direction was given to legal counsel to get us some resolution on the issue that we discussed.
Thank you very much.
Okay. No one else in the boardroom? We'll move on to Zoom. The person I see is Jessie Simmons.
No comments at this time. Thank you.
And then Paula Lowe. You have 4 minutes.
Hello, I'm Paula Lowe from Patterson Lake. I wanted to just concur my comments, concur with Jane Appling about her comments on Patterson Lake, to thank the board for all the work that you've done for us, and we are looking forward to the results. So thank you very much. That concludes my comments.
Okay, I do not see anyone else on Zoom. So we'll move on to County Manager's update. Assistant County Manager Campbell, would you give an update, please?
Thank you, Commissioner. I have no updates at this time.
Okay, questions or comments? Commissioner Edwards?
Not at this time, thank you.
Commissioner Menser?
Yeah.
Okay. With that, we'll move on to consent items 3A through 3C. There is a new item that got added on to the consent agenda, and this was due to the conversations we had this morning, and it's the reappointment to the Planning Commission for Eric Casino for a 6-year term with a term expiration of December 31st, 2028. Now, with those 3 items, would any of the commissioners like to remove any of the items on the consent agenda?
I would not, I would just, for the public's understanding that our planning commission appointment process is a little different than all the others, and commissioners nominate by district. This is one of Commissioner Edwards' nominations from his district, and so that's why we've got it on the consent agenda.
Yes. So with that, item 3A through 3C, is there a motion?
I move to approve consent items 3A through 3C.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. This is a non-debatable motion. I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Mentzer?
Aye.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye, motion passes. Department items, items 4A from the auditor's office, approval of the voucher list.
Thank you, Commissioner Robin Campbell, Assistant County Manager, requesting that the board approve the voucher list for the week of September 26th. The board approves all vouchers or payments issued by the county on a weekly basis, and this would normally be on your consent agenda. However, the voucher list this week does contain some items related to the move to the atrium.
Thank you. Any questions? Commissioner Edwards?
No questions, ma'am, just that I've still got some concerns on the atrium issue yet to be resolved. We're getting there. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Meister?
No, ma'am.
With that, I'm ready for a motion.
I move to approve the voucher list for the week of September 26, 2022 for a combined amount of $3,977,344.30.
I'll second. It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Edwards?
Nay.
Commissioner Mentzer?
Aye.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye. Community Planning and Economic Development, item 5A, set a public hearing for comprehensive plan docket item CP-4 Capital Improvement Program. Andrew, Associate Planner from Community Planning and Economic Development, will report on this.
Thank you, Commissioner. Good afternoon. My name is Andrew Bond with Community Planning. Staff are requesting the Board of County Commissioners set a public hearing for Monday, December 5th at 6 p.m. on docket item CPA-4 Capital Improvement Program. The 2020, sorry?
It was just me sneezing, Andrew.
The 2023 to 2028 Capital Improvement Program is Appendix G of the Thurston County Comprehensive Plan and is the 6-year financial plan for the capital projects needed to maintain the important infrastructure and level of service as the county grows. The CIP is updated annually and fulfills the capital facilities planning requirement of the Growth Management Act. The CIP is not a budget, but a plan for future action. Project costs and funding sources are aligned with the county budget. The Planning Commission reviewed this item at a work session on August 17, 2022. A Planning Commission public hearing was held on September 21, 2022. Following the public hearing, the Planning Commission voted unanimously to recommend approval of the 2023 to 2028 CIP. A SEPA determination of non-significance was issued on the proposal on September 27, 2022. The Board of County Commissioners was briefed on July 13th at an all-day work session where the department staff provided a review of individual projects with more detail. October 13th, staff provided the planning recommendation and requested direction from the board to submit an AIS to set a public hearing. Thank you, and I'm available for any questions.
Questions? Commissioner Edwards.
I don't have questions, but just for the public, I'd like the public to know when we do not have discussions on these items, it's not because we're not interested. We've had many discussions on them prior to getting here. And so I just want to thank Andrew for his hard work on this and the Planning Commission, and no further questions. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Mensah.
No.
Okay, I'm ready for a motion.
I move to set a public hearing for December 5th, 2022 at 6 p.m. or as soon thereafter as the matter may be heard on the annual update to the Thurston County Capital Improvement Program, Appendix G of the Thurston County Comprehensive Plan.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
No, ma'am.
I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Menzer?
Aye.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye.
Thank you.
Moving on to emergency services, item 6A, pre-hospital portable ultrasound devices. And Kurt Harding, our emergency services director, will report on this.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Kurt Hardin, Director, Emergency Services. I'm here to request that the Board of County Commissioners approve the resolution that waives non-competitive bidding and authorize the Director of Emergency Services or their delegate to procure 14 Butterfly Network Incorporated portable ultrasound devices for a total of $49,676.35. Thurston County Medic One strives to provide evidence-based medical procedures and training to Thurston County field personnel in the interest of improving patient outcomes and EMS responses. This vendor, Butterfly Network Incorporated, has produced a handheld portable ultrasound device capable of being deployed in the pre-hospital environment where durability is essential for the ongoing utilization and functionality of the device. Butterfly's approach with microchip technology has circumvented the fragility of the piezoelectric crystal that has been utilized for ultrasound devices up until this point. Butterfly, as noted in the sole source waiver of competition form, is the only device that simultaneously contains microchip technology and provides 3 planes of view in a single probe. This drastically improves portability, durability, and functionality. The internal auditor and prosecuting attorney's office have signed off on the sole source waiver, and this has been budgeted in the current 2022 budget that was recommended for approval by the EMS Council. I'm available to answer your questions and do request that the board approve the resolution that waives non-competitive bidding and authorize the Director of Emergency Services or delegate to procure 14 Butterfly Network Incorporated IQ Plus portable ultrasound devices for $49,676.35.
Thank you. Questions? Commissioner Edwards.
Kurt, was this a unanimous recommendation by the EMS Council?
It was. The budget they recommended to the Board of County Commissioners was unanimously recommended to go forward.
Thank you.
Commissioner Menzer, questions?
No questions.
I'm ready for a motion.
I move to approve the resolution that waives non-competitive bidding and authorize the Director of Emergency Services or their delegate to procure 14 Butterfly Network, Inc. IQ Plus portable ultrasound devices for a total of $49,676.35.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
No, ma'am.
We'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Menzer?
Aye.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye. Kurt will also report on item 6B, which is Medic One vehicle replacement.
Commissioners, I'm requesting in this action that the Board of County Commissioners authorize the purchase of one 2023 Ford Expedition vehicle in the amount of $69,647 through the Washington State Department of Enterprise Services contract number 05916 and authorize the Director of Emergency Services or their delegate to sign the contract and subsequent amendments not to exceed 10% of the total amount. Medic One is looking to replace a 13-year-old Ford Expedition that has been recommended for replacement by our vehicle repair facility. This vehicle serves as the primary mode of county transportation for Medic One staff and is also used for response activities, which have included drive-through vaccine clinics, wildland pack testing, and Providence St. Peter's Emergency Department entryway coverage and patient care surges. This vehicle will be procured through the DES contract, as mentioned above, for a total of $69,647. The EMS Council recommended approval of this vehicle replacement when they recommended approval of the current budget to the Board of County Commissioners for the 2022 budget year. I'm available to answer any questions you may have, and again, recommend a request that the Board of County Commissioners authorize the purchase of the 2023 Ford Expedition vehicle in the amount of $69,647 through the Washington State Department of Enterprise Services contract number 05916, and also authorize the Director of Emergency Services or delegate to sign the contract and subsequent amendments not to exceed 10% of the total amount.
Thank you. Questions? Commissioner Edwards.
No questions, thank you.
Commissioner Menzer.
I would just comment that the The board discussed with our emergency services director the possibility of a vehicle that was either electric or hybrid vehicle to try to realize goals in our climate mitigation plan. We went through those details, and we're hopeful that the vehicles that we need and the infrastructure to support them would be something we can shoot for 2024, as I understand from emergency services director. So we've working toward that goal.
Thank you. I'm ready for a motion.
I move to authorize the purchase of one 2023 Ford Expedition vehicle in the amount of $69,647 through Washington State Department of Enterprise Services Contract 05916, and authorize the Director of Emergency Services or their delegate to sign the contract and subsequent amendments not to exceed 10% of the total amount.
Second?
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
No, ma'am.
I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Mentzer?
Aye.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye. Moving on to Public Works, item 7A, contract award for the solid waste facilities pump systems upgrades and improvements, CP number 91717. And Susan, Capital Project Manager 2, will report on this. Go ahead, Susan.
Good afternoon. I'm Susan Isham, Project Manager. Commissioners, I recommend that you move to award the contract for the solid waste facilities pump systems upgrades and improvements project, capital project number 91717, to Roglins, Inc. of Aberdeen, Washington, in the amount of $2,728,128, and to authorize the Director of Public Works to execute the contract and any change orders for this project due to unforeseen conditions only, not for changes in scope, up to 5% of the contract amount, which is $136,406, or an aggregate of $2,864,534. Due to supply chain issues incurred by the recent pandemic, the initial bids received on June 27, 2022 for the solid waste facilities pump systems upgrades and improvements project, capital project number 91717, were significantly higher than the engineer's estimate and approved project budget, resulting in no bids being accepted. The contract bid documents were subsequently modified and rebid to include a base bid amount for the leachate system, a bid option 1 amount for the condensate system, and a bid option 2 amount for the stormwater system. On September 29, 2022, 4 bids were received. The approved funding for this project, including a 5% contingency, will cover the award of the base bid plus bid option 1, with Roglins, Inc. of Aberdeen, Washington being the lowest responsible bidder in the amount of $2,728,128. Both systems have outlived their useful lives and are critical infrastructure to the continual operational functioning of the Waste and Recovery System Center, or the WARC. Bid option 2 for the stormwater system will not be awarded with this contract. However, if additional project funding is approved in the future, a separate solicitation will be advertised requesting sealed bids for that phase of the project. This project is in the 2022-2023 Public Works budget, the 2022 through 2027 Capital Facilities Plan, and is in alignment with the county's Strategic Plans Initiative Number 8 to support robust and well-maintained infrastructure systems for a thriving community.
Thank you. Questions, Commissioner Edwards?
Thank you for coming today.
Bet.
No question.
Commissioner Mentzer? Okay, I'm ready for a motion.
I move to award the contract for the solid waste facilities pump systems upgrades and improvements project, CP 91717, to Roglins, Inc. of Aberdeen, Washington, in the amount of $2,728,128, and to authorize the Director of Public Works to execute the contract and any change orders for this project due to unforeseen conditions only, not for changes in scope, up to 5% of the contract amount, $136,406, or an aggregate of $2,864,534.
Second?
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead, sir.
I guess I want to just take this opportunity to let the public know, because I know we all know about this with our landfill, and it's been covered up, and we're watching the leachate material and gas coming off. There's a lot of things that go on there that are going to take place for quite a few years yet to come to protect our environment. And really, that's what this is all about. So Some folks might not have known that. So just point that out. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Mentzer?
Aye.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye. Motion passes. Next is from the Sheriff's Office, item 8A, renewal of contract with Tactical Athlete Performance Institute LLC. Under Sheriff Ray Brady will present this matter.
Hey, good afternoon, Commissioners. Under Sheriff Ray Brady with the Sheriff's Office. This request is a request to renew a contract with Tactical Athlete, also known as Rebound. This one-year trial contract was initiated by the board in December of last year. And Tactical Athlete, or Rebound, provides an integrated, comprehensive, and personalized health and performance program for employees that are injured on the job. The efforts are designed to facilitate the employee getting seen by medical professionals quickly, which decreases the time for diagnosis, treatment, recovery, and a return to work. These efforts are able to reduce injury-related costs, and on average are able to get our employees back to work 30% faster than a typical treatment plan. To date, in about 10 months, we estimate that we've avoided about $64,000 in overtime costs as a result of this program. The one-year trial contract that we did, we thought was very, very successful. And we've had lots of interactions and meetings with the risk management and HR portions of the county, as well as conversations with Rebound, and feel that this is a very valuable program to the county and to our employees as well. So this request is to authorize the Sheriff's Office to enter into a 3-year contract with Rebound to continue this program. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions?
No questions. Thank you.
No, gone through this one several times.
Okay. I'm ready for a motion.
Okay, I move to approve the renewal of the contract with Tactical Athlete Performance Institute, LLC, DBA Rebound, in the amount of $26,948.78 per year for 3 years, and authorize the sheriff or his designee to sign the contract.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Mentzer?
Aye.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye. That will conclude department items. Moving on to our standing items. Item 9A, Commissioners will report on board work sessions and assigned committee meetings, providing updates on actions taken as well as upcoming issues. Commissioner Edwards, we'll start with you, sir.
Well, the majority of the week, I think, was spent on budget issues. We had a send-off for Dennis Osorio, our IT director, and most of my time was used up on lake management issues, a potential airport issue, the Hopkins ditch, and the Commissioner District expansion. So that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Vice Chairman, sir.
Just a few things. Also, Lake Management District issues. Also, the Chehalis Basin Partnership met on Friday. That's a half day. Good information there about the Trans-Alta Water Right project, which is kind of the linchpin of the Chehalis Basin Watershed Plan. And attended the Tumwater Education Foundation breakfast, supporting that emergency fund for principals there in Tumwater School District.
Okay, thank you. I attended the Finance Committee after our agenda setting. I also attended WASAC yesterday and gave a report on our budgets, as well as other counties gave report outs on how their budget process was moving forward. I attended the Regional Housing Council meeting, had a lot of great conversations. Keely will be bringing up an item in regards to stipends that the commission will be discussing next week. And then I attended the County Road Administration Board meeting. And that was all day Thursday and Friday. I went up to Skagit County had discussions in regards to how our legislative budget was cut immensely. And so CRAB, that's the acronym, didn't get much funding from that. And so we invited some legislators down and invited them to see some of the projects that CRAB has funded and the importance of what those dollars are able to kind of cover that gap within counties, all the 39 counties. So I think that meeting went very well. I think there was a lot of education and understanding that came from that. Moving on to 99B, the county assistant county manager will review the Board of County Commissioners schedule for the week of November 1st, 2022.
Thank you, Commissioner. Today at 3:30, the board will hold a public hearing on the resolution of intention to establish the Offutt Lake Management District. On Wednesday, November 2nd, tomorrow, from 1 to 1:30, you will have a briefing on the Timberland Regional Library update. And at 2 o'clock, there will be a ribbon cutting for the Latigo Street Fish Passage Project. And that will be held at 9146 Latigo Street, Southeast, Olympia. On Thursday, your day begins early with a 7:30 Habitat for Humanity breakfast. At 9 o'clock, you will have a WASAC meeting. WASAC stands for the Washington State Association of Counties. So representatives from WASAC will meet with the board. At 10 o'clock, your commissioner's check-in is, the check-in is canceled, and instead you will have a post-hearing briefing on the Development Code Docket A8 for the Habitat Conservation Plan. At noon on Thursday is the Racial Equity Lunch Program. At 1 o'clock, you have an executive session. And at 2 o'clock on Thursday, a jail resource team meeting. On Friday, you have 2 items that appear to be social in nature. So the Strophe Foundation benefit auction and the Port of Olympia's Centennial Gala is on your schedule, and that is all until next Tuesday, November 8th, when you will hold your regular agenda setting meeting.
On Monday, November 7th, there's the Washington State Association of Counties Virtual Assembly that happens at noon.
That is.
I won't be able to attend that.
Okay. Vice Chair Menser, you had your hand up.
Well, I just wanted to give a heads up that on the Wednesday, the regional library, I'll be in transit from Rochester, and so I'll probably just have to listen to the update on my phone as I'm driving back, because I won't be able to get there. I won't be able to get back.
Okay. Any questions? No? With that, we will be picking up with a public hearing at 3:30. And are we leaving the Zoom up? We'll be leaving the Zoom up for those members of the public who wish to join. It's 2:54 p.m. We are adjourned.